Hello everyone, and today we're doing a video on Winston. Now this is a kind of like a guide, and feel free to watch this video over and over again at like different times to try and just like master him. This isn't the complete mastery, this is just part 1 because I couldn't get all the gameplay. I wanted to get it out by today. So let's jump into it. Now your first real money maker as Winston is going to be able to melee before you land. Now watch this clip right here. Watch the melee get snuck in right there, and I get extra damage to the Zen. There it is again. You want to do that so you can really maximize your damage as Winston, and it's going to soar your gameplay in higher levels, because instead of doing 50 damage with his jump pack, you do 80 damage combined with the melee. Now, it is like different times technically. It's not a complete like instant damage, but it's pretty good at what it does because it's basically the same as that. And you can get nice free damage on squishies, especially if you're playing like against a Tracer or a Baby Diva. If you're trying to take them out, then you can do that easily. Now, you make sure that you get the animation cancel. You don't want to be meleeing like right now. You want to get the melee animation cancel while your animation for landing is, because if you don't do that, then you're not going to be that valuable. You can see in this clip I'm focusing the squishies, the people without armor, because Winston is terrible against armor. So I'm focusing on any supports they have, on their Genji, that Baby Diva. I wasn't focusing, but I was shooting. Now, you want to be shooting before you land constantly. You want to hold down whatever your shoot button is. Just hold that down while you're in the air landing on someone, and then you can sneak into melee and then continue to shoot again. So, right here, you can see you don't want to take too much damage. You want to leave your mercy to like be able to heal other people. Right there I bubbled to guard the mercy from that Junkrat, because mercy's really weak against Junkrat. Your goal as Winston, you should be prioritizing squishies, healers first, and then DPS, and then move to tanks if there's no one else to fight. So for this next point really is for your bubble. Use your bubble defensively and aggressively. You can really do whatever you want with it, but here's a few like pointers. Watch this engagement. I'm gonna drop down bubble. That's gonna let me focus in on the people inside my bubble, because anyone outside it can't damage me. So I take way too much damage there. I notice that. I'm gonna go back to my team. I'm going to bubble again so my healers can stay in there. Then I'm going to go back to the aggressive. I'm forcing them to be fighting me, so it slows them down so Diva can sneak in and ult there and take out both their healers. And now their healers are staggered, and they have a Roadhog, which I'm just going to destroy with Primal. Now, next thing with Winston, and this is with Primal really, you wanna focus, try and corner people, and then just deal as much damage as possible. Now, look at that Genji clip again. Just go back into the video. I was trying to bubble because I needed to buy right there. I was trying to buy as much time and drain as much of his like time in his ult as I could. Now on this next push, I'm just going to push hard. I'm going to get on the point, and then I'm going to bubble, so I have a bubble that's on the point. I'm going to jump into the air to re-engage, and then, again, focusing the squishies first. Yeah, just making sure I can deal as much damage to those squishies as possible. Now, you're going to want, as Winston, to be able to balance your abilities. You don't want to use all your abilities at once unless it's in like a heated fight, but you want to make sure you can you can have always at least a bubble or a jump pack available, or at least try to do that. You can see there I did a U casual initiated a fight. I did manage to die. Mercy does res me though. And now I can fight again and just get free ult charge off this Hanzo. And yeah, that's great to be able to just focus the squishies. Because that's really where you're gonna charge your ult and be as effective as possible. This next clip, I do bait out the Roadhog hook onto my bubble. And then I'm gonna rotate out of the bubble to try and negate that. You always want to be doing that. You wanna, if you're playing against like a McCree or an Ana, or like even a Rhine sometimes, or like a Roadhog with their CC abilities, like their stun abilities, you always want to be, or a Brig even, you want to place down your bubble and then go back and forth in between and like in and out of your bubble. Just go back and forth between the wall, because this is just gonna most of the time in lower rankings they're just gonna freeze and not know what to do, or they're gonna just like use all their abilities and just miss you, and then you're gonna be able to punish them. Unless you're playing against a Brig where you're gonna need team support there because she has heavy armor, or Rhine obviously, but like you want to bait out their abilities, because that's really the counter to Winston. Abilities and armor, those are the two counters to him. You can see in this clip I do make a mistake, I do die, but it's so like fast that it's hard for you to like, for me to really explain it. So what happened was I was trying to just deal as much damage as possible there and maybe secure a kill. That wasn't available though, so I couldn't end up doing that. So right here you can see I'm trying to bait out the Moira. I wasted her ult. She could have been playing more aggressive onto my teammates, but I ended up dying from an EMP like combo with a Moira and Roadhog focusing me. Right here, this goes with a lot of Winston tactics. Moira is focusing me here, but that's good for me because I don't have to do anything really. I've drawn their Moira's attention away, so now we've got to fight. I haven't even killed her. They're just fighting without her. So she does end up going back. But watch this clip very closely. Watch how far away her team gets from her. You can already see her team's getting, like, the cart is going way away from her, but she's just forced to fight me. And this is good tactics. You want to draw attention to you to open up a gap and create space. That's what I'm doing here. I'm creating space for my team to push. And then I get low, I pop Primal. I try and get as close to my team as possible so I can get maybe some heals if I take more damage, and I don't want to be isolated by myself too far. Now, they are escorting really far. They've made it far, but watch when I start to play with my team again. I do die, but I've already killed someone, and now on this next fight, I've got the advantage because look at that. Look out there. It's just all squishies, and I see it, and I realize I've got to push or I've got to play back. I'm going to force out 2 ults. They waste 2 of their ults and don't get any value from them. And then I'm going to do it. I'm going to flash out. I'm going to focus the Zen. Roadhog does make it back, and then I'm not going to be able to win that fight, but Moira can use Coalescence, and she can do some damage. And then I have my initiating again, and both their supports on this side, and I can just... This is just like me just taking out squishies, honestly. It's how you make a lot of... You get a lot of, like, value out of Winston's tools. Now, in this clip, we're getting pushed hard. We lose our Reaper early on. Diva overextends hard, and then she's going to get forced out of her mech. And she's dead. So it's already down to me, the healers, and I think one other DPS. And we have a huge disadvantage here. So I do die. Mercy gets a nice res on me, though. A clutch res. I'm going to bubble to buy time for my Mercy. I do get pinned, but it's better than, like, our Mercy or our Moira getting pinned. So now I'm going to pop Primal here. And I'm just going to destroy Rhine. And then I'm going to move to the squishies. I get some damage in, and then that gives enough damage for my teammates to be able to take them out. So already we've stalled this for almost a full minute here. Basically a full minute at this place, and we've used Primal, but we have the advantage now where they're all staggered. Their Rhine and a few of their squishies died early on, and then the rest of them died when I popped Primal, and then I killed them later on after, like at the end of my Primal. So they're staggered by about 6 seconds. So I'm trying to make them push as hard as possible so we can really take advantage of that staggering. So instantly you can see I jump up and then I go for that back line, focusing on the healers. I'm gonna try and at least take out the Moira. Although it seems like she was invincible to me. And then we cut to the end of this clip, the end of the game almost. And right here, we've got the advantage. We've got time, we are escorting it back, and we can, in these fights, they've only been able to contest it for like 2 seconds. And all that contesting, it's less actually escorting it, and it's more just stopping it from going backwards. So far we've let it go backwards pretty far. And now I'm gonna jump up. I don't see anyone I can go for. I jumped up to dodge the Riptire though. I'm gonna jump up again. I can't find anyone, so I'm just gonna come down and deal some chip damage. And I found someone who's weak, but I was too low, so I had to run away. I did get as much damage in as possible as I was running away. I'm low, so I'm gonna pop Primal, but a weird ping glitch or something happened there, so that's whatever. I didn't get to pop Primal, but Mercy res me again. I'm gonna pop Primal. And this is again how you're gonna really do good as not just Winston, but aggressive tanks in general, like Wrecking Ball, Diva, Winston, like those kind of tanks. Not like any shield tanks really. But you're gonna want to just play aggressive, but not too aggressive. Know your limits with heals. Know like your healers can't just be healing you. Understand that you're gonna struggle sometimes. It's gonna be hard because you're gonna just be against, like, especially as like Winston, you're gonna be like fighting a Goats comp, which is hard to play as Winston because Goats just takes advantage of armor. Although, ever since the Brig nerf, it has been less effective, Goats, but you could still run a variation of it with, like, a DPS instead of, like, a Diva. So, that's, like, you want to play aggressive, but also understand, have good game sense, understand your surroundings. Play to get kills, but also play to stay alive. Because the worst thing you can do in Overwatch is die. So, in this next clip on Route 66, I'm not even fighting here. I'm acting like I'm gonna fight, and then instantly I go as fast as possible as I can around. I'm gonna move around. I'm gonna go for the Orisa. I find her. I pounce on her. Probably the wrong person to pounce on, but I still managed to secure a tank kill, which is pretty good. But I do die. So that's an example of a problem. Don't focus Orisa. Sometimes you're gonna need to just like focus other people besides Orisa. Sorry about that cut, but yeah, something weird happened. So this next clip, they're escorting far. They're getting great ground. I can't really do anything. I'm gonna try and bubble to like kind of make a barrier between the Baptiste and the enemy, but that's not gonna work. He's still gonna die. I'm gonna pull out of there because I know I can't win that fight. So right here, I'm trying to really just like wait up for my team. I don't want to just run away completely, because if I do that, then I'm gonna give them as much, like, I'm trying to give them the smallest amount of like escorting that they can get. So I'm trying to be as close as possible to them as I can, so exactly when we need to initiate a fight, I can initiate it. So right here I'm getting heals from the Baptiste. I'm going to bubble him to protect him from that Widow. I'm going to go in, I make a mistake by standing still. McCree gets a CC on me, and then I'm dead. And that's another prime example of bubble dancing, I guess I'll call it, where you gotta go back and forth between your bubbles. This next clip, this is just me going back from the fight, but here you can see how I'm gonna wait right here. I'm not gonna go through those flanks, because if I go through the center, they're all focused on the back line. Right there, I see the Widow, and instantly I jump up and I go for her. That's good target prioritization. You've got to find your target, and instantly, as fast as possible, you've got to fight them. Now right here, I was just waiting for them to escort further so I could flank, but the Wrecking Ball surprised me. I saw him there, but I thought he didn't see me. So there's an example of, like, just be aware. I shouldn't have turned around. So this next fight that's coming up is going to be a big one. This is going to be one that decides the game, almost. Because right here, it's kind of in that middle phase where it's kind of like an even game. Both teams have a high chance. We're trying to lower that timer, and they're trying to move that red bar across the blue bar. So right here, I go for the Widow again, but I notice I'm taking too much damage, so I'm going to peel off. I'm going to go back for the Rhine, because you may be thinking this is like bad target prioritization, which it can be, because that Brig is able to punish me. But I almost killed that Rhine, which would have been huge, because he was the only one able to contest at the time. So trying to take out the people contesting and then focus on your squishies, sometimes, it all depends on context, really. It sometimes can be a good idea. So we do end up mostly winning the fight. We lose a lot of people, but there's our Wrecking Ball right there. I ignore him, because if I fight him, he's just going to come out and he's going to destroy me. So I'm going to let the Bastion, I'm going to let him think he's safe, so he's going to stay still, and the Bastion can get some damage on him. I'm going to move on this top right position, jump over. I waited for Rhine to move past, so I just kind of waited up on the top right a little bit, focusing the Widow there. Mistake by me, do not jump headfirst into proximity mines. I thought I had my shield, but apparently I didn't. I wasn't looking. So I thought I could just bubble and that'd like destroy all of them, but it didn't. Yeah, so this is just me respawning again. I'm gonna go for this left side again with the Bastion. And this is just more team composition and team communication. But you always want to try and group up with your team. Just like always. There's never a time when you really need to split up unless you're running like a dive comp. But in this we weren't that much, so it was fine for us to split up. I'm gonna jump over. I'm targeting this Zen. I'm gonna go for a frag on him. I get him. And then I'm just gonna move around. I know this Bastion's fighting someone, but I've got to protect him from this Rhine right here, because this Rhine, I bubble his Earth Shatter just in time. I knew he was going to use it. I just didn't know when. I saw him take down his shield instantly, just like from muscle memory. I just started spamming RB to place down that bubble as soon as possible. I'm going to bubble on the Zen so no one else can do damage to me. Then I'm going to focus him, trying to secure that kill. I'm going to Primal to save myself. Primal Rage is like a get out of jail card, because you can be in a bad position and just using it will give you just enough time if you constantly like move around to get out. I'm focusing the Wrecking Ball here. I'm not going to completely just desert the point to go after him, because he can flank, yes, but I feel like me fighting the squishies is more important than me fighting a Wrecking Ball who's just in our back line. I need to be in the front line. So here comes a Hanzo ult. I just dodged that pretty easily. And then the goal really for Winston is to open up a gap, make a gap in the enemy's line, and then just punish them for it. I get wrecked by the McCree. We're running Winston Zarya, which is an interesting comp, but if it's played right, it can really like win games. Because you've got a really aggressive tank, and then you have like a tank who's just can really play on any comp. She can play aggressive Zarya, but she can also play defensive. So I'm gonna bubble right here, let it drop down to negate any damage they try and throw at me, and then I can just get some damage in on the Sigma charging my ult without having any problems. And they don't have any healers in that part, so I was just getting free ult charge without losing anything. They weren't getting any ult charge. So I'm gonna use my jump pack as like a jet pack to focus the Pharah. Then I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna jump pack on the point. I'm gonna bubble on it to try and isolate. Bubbling is good for isolating players who play too aggressive, because if you bubble on them, it's basically like taking them out of the game and just putting them versus your team, because the enemy team can't shoot through the bubble. So if they're super far ahead and you bubble on them, you've got just enough time to take out a squishy usually. And if the entire enemy team is focusing your bubble, but if they're not, you can just get a free kill, because they're not going to be able to support their teammates with damage. So the Moira ult here, I'm going to Primal Rage and just try and buy time for my teammates. I'm using the cornering tactic like I was talking about earlier, just corner them. I noticed McCree here, and here's a good example of bubble dancing. You can see I'm moving in between the bubble right there to force out a CC that's going to miss. Right here, I get a nice kill, and then that's the game.